I want to apologize in advance. I have a little bit of a cold, so I may talk funny. Before I get into the slides, I wanted to see who has discovered a song that they really, really love, and they've been playing probably a couple times a day. All right, make it easy. Get closer, I can hear you. So what is that song, and where did you discover it? Yeah, and you found it on one of the playlists on Spotify? Awesome. And how did you know that the artist had a new song? Did Spotify tell you? Okay, interesting. There's a lot of ways to discover music. It's really cool in the world that we're living with technology. I find a lot of songs in commercials, Shazam, and now Apple owns it, and then it goes right into my playlist, and then I play the heck out of it until I find something else. But it's really, really neat that music can be discovered in so many ways, and I believe that there is a direct correlation in your online business and how you and others discover music. So this presentation is about developing brand addicts. There's 3 components to it. You discover people, they use the product, and then you want them to form a consistent habit. I was introduced, but I'll tell you again, I'm Mark Murrell. I run getmainlobster.com. It's an online lobster delivery service. We are in our 8th year. Fun business. We get to deliver live Maine lobster to people that have never cooked live Maine lobster, and it's fun to help them with that experience. My goal for you is to help you build some amazing brand addicts that are going to help you, along with your technology, to build an amazing business and evolve. So I want to talk about discovery and the ingredients for being discoverable. There's 2 parts of discovery. There's you want to discover a customer, but you yourself, your brand, also needs to be discovered. And the typical, you guys have probably seen this before, but there's a variety of ingredients involved in being discovered and things to consider when you're developing communications and marketing efforts. So I sell lobster online, so what's my mix? Now, I have a couple things going against me. One, they can't use a lot of their senses, maybe some sound, but mostly visual. So I really have to rely heavily on that. I'm focusing on pleasure. Sometimes I'll focus on pain just to mix it up and see if that's an effective tool for me. But having an understanding of what you have available to you to make yourself attractive and available to your customer is a really important exercise. In the beginning, when I launched this business, it was by mistake. I was a marketing consultant, not living in Maine. I was living in Chicago. And a friend of mine who owned a fish market said, hey, I want to sell lobster on the internet. At the time, I focused on internet, but I did it for other people. And I said, well, let me make sure that's not a horrible idea. And after doing a lot of research, I discovered it was an exceptional idea and he should do it. And I said, this is how I would do it. And I passed him over a plan and he said, wow, that's a lot of work. And I said, well, if you want to do it right, then that's how you should do it. Knowledge. I gave him, here's everything you need to do. Luckily, he didn't want to do it, so that was the day that I did it. And here I am talking to you guys 8 years later, and so it's pretty exciting for me. But a lot of things that I thought about when I launched that business, because I knew nothing about delivering this live Maine lobster product to a Californian. I had no idea what I was doing, and I didn't try to fake that I didn't. I said, let me just get a lot of customers, do this a lot, and let me watch and listen, gather information, iterate. That's when I discovered early on, and you all know this, that knowledge is very sexy. Somebody wanting to experience Maine lobster at their home by having it delivered from the dock to their doorstep, they're a unique individual, right? They'd like to experience other things. What I've learned about my particular customers is they obviously tend to be affluent, but they also like experiential travel, and they bring their family, and they're foodies. They like to eat at home a lot. They don't like to go and have to park the car. They like convenience. And they like to impress their friends. So I did that by getting on the phone and calling my top 20 myself personally and gathering information along the way to have a better, solid understanding of who they are. So as it relates to discovery, the music metaphor, there's a million ways to be discovered today. Really having a solid understanding of your ingredient mix and how do you leverage technology to share the right story at the right time that makes it available to them and vice versa. And then really getting into understanding the knowledge that is available to you and being able to acquire that information on a consistent basis, because everything is changing every single day. I sell lobster in a totally different way than I used to when we launched 8 years ago. I'll go through these slides pretty quick because I want to get to the habitual part, and we have limited time. A lot of you are likely experts at getting people to convert. It's very difficult to capture somebody's attention long enough to get them to actually go through the process of spending. For example, in my business, the average order is $150. So I want somebody who doesn't know who I am, potentially. The food might die, the lobsters might die on the way, and I want you to give me $150 in advance before I even pack the box. Okay, so there's a lot of things that I had to consider and massage their belly so they would feel comfortable in doing this. So they need to know exactly what they're getting. All right, you're getting 4 live lobsters, a pound of mussels, and some clam chowder, and it's going to come in a box, and UPS is going to bring it to your doorstep, and they're going to knock. Inside that box, there'll be cooking instructions, but also our phone number, email, text. You can do all this stuff, right? They're also going to want to know if anybody else like them has had the similar experience. So being able to show testimonials, we all know this, huge, huge value. Now with technology, companies like Yotpo and stuff, you can integrate testimonials in so many awesome ways. This is a tough one in my business because, as you know, a lot of us are super duper busy. We don't have a ton of time, yet we want to experience something amazing, and receiving whole live lobsters, putting them in a pot alive, cooking them, having to crack the shell to get at the meat, that's not easy. However, it's really awesome. So I have that going for me, that experience. But in your product, think about how easy, and if it's not easy, that what they're going to get from an experience or value standpoint, it's so worth it. And the process actually could be fun. Think of when you bought a file folder from IKEA, right? It's impossible. Mine, I put together, it took me like 4 hours, and it's not right, right? But I have it, and I can put files in it. IKEA could tell a fun story of how much of a pain in the ass it is to actually do this. And that might help them. Well, IKEA is IKEA, but think of a smaller business. I really like this product landing page. It's got everything that I've talked about. But if you look, so 165 people, that's a lot of stars. So it's probably good. But if you look at the key ingredients, a superhero soap, awesome word choice, but there's a lot of things on just above the page fold that makes me really want to click that bright orange button. And then I get to the next part, and then I see these little icons, and I'm like, wow, okay, I don't know what that means, but it must mean something, right? So it's good for you. People love badges and little icons. It just makes them feel good. Oftentimes in my business, it would be wild caught, organic, so on and so forth. And I don't even do a great job of this. But this is a really exceptional product page that I think you should steal. So recapping, you always want to be clear with your customers. You always want to assure them that everything's going to be awesome. And if your product is hard and difficult like mine, it's so worth the pain that it's going to take to actually eat the first claw. And then finally, make it worth it. What's, the net experience that you personally desire for your customer from your product. Now we're going to jump back to the music metaphor, and when you want to build an army of habitual users, there's a lot of thought that goes into that, a lot of planning and a lot of understanding. And I love this quote: if I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about solutions. So when you're thinking about something, you're being really empathetic to that thing. And I think a lot about when I'm designing an email or a campaign, I think about music and song structure, right? You got a verse, a hook, and a bridge. And those are the things that make a song connect with us emotionally, if it's really well written. So consider, just as an exercise, might be good with your team, is to the next time you're going to write an email campaign for your journey, your customer acquisition journey, consider looking up and saying, hey, let me see how this song actually connected with me, and looking how it's designed when you're reading the actual lyrics, verse, hook, bridge. How can I design something similar that's really going to grab attention? Because you're planting the seed with your marketing communications of their net experience. So here's a guy, we've seen this, eyes closed, hands up. He's literally allowing the music to come into his soul, right? That's what you want. That's your ideal customer. He's like, yes, more please. And what can you count on from him? More downloads, like you did, right? Concerts, tell others, buy merch, right? That's what music lovers do. And the ideal guy is the guy we just saw, and there's only one button. I can't go back, but he's literally absorbing the music. Okay, so why are fans crazy about their idols? I don't know the answer, but I have an idea. So I believe that the greatest artists in the world are obsessively empathetic. I think that they struggle hourly, all day, all night, to design an experience for their audience, and I believe that we should too, as e-commerce brand owners. So my team knows that the only thing that we have to worry about, regardless, is that our customer had an exceptional experience. Not good, exceptional. Now, we could have had 4 lobsters out of 6 die. They are still required to deliver an exceptional experience. It could have been for a 75th birthday party. That's still their requirement. How do you turn that around, right? So those are things that you have to be, think about if you bought some for your uncle and he's 75 and the whole family flew in and you counted on me to ship you 50 lobsters for this big party and I did up. It's going to be a lot for me to do, but I'm going to do it. And you're going to see that and you're going to give me another shot down the road, But I obsess with those scenarios. What's the worst possible outcome? How can I design my rebut before it ever even happened? And it's obsessive empathy that allows me to do that, right? So empathy and marketing, you're going to see it's coming. A lot of people are talking about it. And it's an essential tool if you really want to connect and have your customer absorb your brand in their soul. So this is just the meaning. Throw that up there. I think the slides are available. So applying empathy. This guy, seriously, he is a master marketer. I'm 46. I have a wife and a kid. My daughter is almost 16. We love Post Malone, she and I. And I live in Maine in a house that barely has cell service. I love this guy. I follow him on Instagram. I went to see him at Kaboo in San Diego. I watch his videos. I go on YouTube and look for it. I'm 46 white man. I love this guy. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable, right? But he has a massive amount of empathy, and if you watch his Instagram, he doesn't even say much. He gives everybody else props. It's really interesting. But let's talk about him physically. He has a very distinct look. You know it's Post Malone, right? You just know. His attire is very intentional, even though it's just his style, but you know, right? You know Post Malone. And you love Post Malone, right? Here he is playing with Aerosmith. He doesn't care. He just wants to make music. He's in love with getting a fan to absorb his music into their soul in a variety of ways, right? He just has something to say and wants to say it. He's not trying to be anything else, but he delivers it in an extremely exceptional way, and he has massive empathy. The guy just has something great to say. That's it, and he just says it. That's all he does. And then Bud Light's like, all right, we love you because everybody else loves you, so we don't really connected. Bud Light and Post Malone. It doesn't make any sense at all. It makes no sense, but it works. And if you Google and look for some of their YouTubes, they're really, really cool where he tests how much of a friend somebody is to somebody else. He says, hey, text your friend, tell them to get here in 5 minutes with a lampshade. If they do it, they're your friend. And it's just viral content. That's all they did. Super cool, but you get to see his personality. And there he is, just being grateful. He's like, wow, the guy just had his first music festival, just said, I want to do a festival. And it sold out in like 48 hours. It was a huge hit. Did it in Dallas, something like that. But he's just insane. So consider, try to be Post Malone when you're thinking about designing some marketing materials. And he's really just wants to be genuine, and he's got a simple message, and he connects. You know, it's simple as that. But really look at how design and copy can work together to deliver something incredible that's going to get absorbed in your customer's soul. And return, this is what Post has done in just a short period of time, and he's only beginning. I just hope he chills out a little bit on the partying so that he can live for a long time, because he's a special person. I really, really like that guy, if you can't tell. But so when I went to see him at Kaboo at the end of the show, his show wasn't that good. I wasn't happy with it. So I'm like, all right, that's okay. But it's hard when hip hop doesn't have a lot of other stuff going on the stage, so it's difficult to connect. But he ran around and gave high fives. It took him like 20 minutes to high five a bunch of people. He was just super cool. So, where do we go from here? I like to always start with, if I'm doing something new, really telling myself I don't know anything, and that I want the experience, the customer to have something that's unforgettable, memorable, never ever happened, and want to do it again and tell everybody about it. And then I start there and I go backwards. I thought once that I did an ad campaign where I thought this was brilliant, and I said that I'm going to rent lobsters. I'm going to make it like the lobster is rentable for the dish, and that you can get this guy, and he'll bring his 5 brothers, and they will be the showcase of your next dinner party. And it was just too confusing. It failed miserably, but I wanted to experiment on it. I thought maybe that would be an interesting way to do it. I was wrong, right? So, but I have one ad that's been running for 3 years, and I haven't changed a thing. So that's just how it goes. So that was super duper fast, sorry. But that's my email. If you have any questions, but you have questions now, happy to answer any.